I don't mean to be hurtful to anybody. I really just want to have the truth out there. I think everybody should have information freely, especially if it has to do with them. They deserve the truth. I think my whole family deserves the truth at least, especially if they were manipulated or lied to. What I was lied to for sure. My dad was definitely lied to, and not by me. And his new wife is totally like clueless about all of this, I bet. I mean, she like was friends with this person, but I doubt she was there when these events were happening, as well as she even was aware of how bad things were getting with her. I mean, nobody even knew how bad her drinking was, even by the end after she passed away. I mean, they kept that pretty quiet. So, yeah, people didn't quite know except for me, my father. Those are, well, and my brother. We knew that something was going on. My brother, not so much. He started reading into it. He started seeing it, and he started warning me. Started warning my father. And that was only the light stuff. That wasn't even like the heavy stuff that I was seeing. But I was a kid when I was seeing some of this stuff, so not understanding what these things mean. I feel like my father should have understood, but he stayed so far out of it, yeah, that he probably didn't even pay any attention to. I know he did paid very little attention to me, but I think he also did that with her, and that's part of the issue. But anyways, I'm not 100% sure of that though. I can't speak on my opinion. I only can speak on the facts. The facts are that she definitely was unstable doing something to me with medication. She was definitely doing extra medications when they shouldn't be there. There were definitely big problems with my body that should have been addressed. She also acted very weird when this was brought up. She also made very weird, unusual, hurtful statements on a regular basis. There was just so much going on that's very clear that she needed to see a therapist and she needed to get her hands off of my medications and stop doing whatever she was doing to me. It was drugging me, but with what drug, at how much of a dose, when, I'll never get to know. That's a fact, though. That's a fact that there were more medications if you need it. She admitted it herself. She admitted it herself with the Epicac. It's not like this was not, it was very right out there, clear, and she admitted it herself. And this is one time where she admitted it. There's several times where I could just feel it, and I either knocked out, or I totally passed out, or I shook, or my breathing slowed down and I couldn't see or walk or talk. There was so much of this, and that's not right. That's not supposed to happen with your mother and a lot of pills through long periods of time. And that's not no fantasy. That's factual. But people calling that a fantasy is kind of a like feeding into a fantasy. You see how that's kind of weird and funny and hurtful all at the same time? They're feeding into somebody else's fantasy that they wanted to project on other people, that they wanted other people to believe, and they got them to believe. Meanwhile, their kid gets seriously hurt by it. Meanwhile, years later, a person who wasn't there for a lot of this wants to feed into a past fantasy, but then they want to call what I'm going through a fantasy, even after years of processing this. So it's kind of, I guess, nonsensical would be the word, the way I'm talked to. They have a lot of nonsense one-liners that allow them not to, take any responsibility, not help, not even deal with it. They just kind of want to sit on a beach, get drunk. Oh well, we worked our whole lives. We have a right to get drunk and to sit on a beach and hang out with friends and do whatever we want over here. What they do, but this wicked unfinished business. And I'm not asking for much. I'm asking to handle what happened to me. I'm happy to answer questions, stuff like that. I think we're past that point. Just talking to him stresses me out incredibly because I'm trying to stay calm while they talk down and talk shitty to me. I mean, constantly. If I showed you some of these text messages, how hurtful they are, and if I told you what the discussions I had with other people right before that were, or what I was doing at that time, or what I'm showing them paperwork of my seizures. I'm showing them my damage of my body, all these type of things. And then they just say hurtful things that don't have anything to do with real life scenarios or any real life actual events. Just a way for them to avoid talking to me, avoid dealing with this. And that's nonsensical. And feeding into a fantasy and calling what I'm dealing with a fantasy is incredibly crazy and stupid. It just shows how sinful people can get.